You want your community to thrive, but there's a complex challenge standing in your way. Maybe it's homelessness, maybe it's kindergarten readiness, maybe it's food security. All these challenges are very tricky and have many moving parts. So they're complex and they oftentimes require complex solutions. So that's why we're going to talk about collective impact today. Collective impact initiatives are those where community members, organizations, institutions that advance equity come together by learning, aligning, and integrating action so that they can together advance population level changes and systems changes. Today I'm going to tell you the components. There are 5 components to collective impact initiatives. First is a common agenda. A common agenda is when partners come together and they share a definition of what the challenge or problem or issue is in the community. These partners also have a shared vision for what they would like to see in the future. Once this is done, they can come together and agree upon which sort of strategies they're going to pursue to make this future possible. Part of this component is also partners coming back together periodically throughout the initiative to make sure that they still, one, believe that they're working towards the same future, maybe adjusting any goals, and always coming back together to rethink strategies based on the learnings that they have been gaining from implementing the initiative. So you're always coming back to reset the vision and realign. The next component of a collective impact initiative is shared measurement. Now, as an evaluator, this is my favorite part, and it's the part that I have spent most of my time thinking about. So I'm going to probably talk a little bit more about this and the other components. Here, partners come together to agree upon what success would look like in the future. This means being thoughtful about whose life will be better and how. Usually in a collective impact approach, you have a universal goal. So, for example, on one of the collective impact initiatives that I work on, Bright Beginnings, their goal is school readiness. Along with the universal goal, you also have indicators that help you know if you're on the right track. So these are the sorts of things partners agree upon. Another thing I'd recommend is having some contextual data points that help you understand the landscape that you're working in. So for example, with kindergarten readiness or school readiness, knowing the number of children being born in a county or in your geographical area might be important to know how many people you're looking to serve and support. You're not looking to change this number, but it helps you understand the context of where you are. Now, there have been a few new articles that have been published on shared measurement, and I'm going to share some of the main points I took away from those. The main thing is that the purpose of a shared measurement system is not the measures themselves, but to learn. So you're developing this shared measurement system so that you can collectively, you and your partners can learn from the data, understand what's working and what's not, and can therefore make adaptations or improvements to the work that you're currently doing and make decisions about which directions to move forward in. Another key takeaway from these articles is that qualitative data matters too. You want to have some quantitative data and qualitative data. So I've talked about qualitative and quantitative data before. So qualitative data helps you understand why things are happening, and quantitative data involves numbers, and it usually helps you understand what's going on. As you might imagine, they're both very important and both very useful to learning. Another key point from this article is to really think about the level of data you're collecting. So you want to collect some data on individual outcomes as well as population level changes and systems change. My main takeaway from these articles is that it's less about building out a perfect data system where you're collecting all the data points you can possibly think of, and more about collecting data that are useful to learning and guiding your strategic action. Developing a data system where you can learn and share those data with partners so that they can participate in sense making, and you all together can come and learn from it and actually make decisions about what next steps to take. So this means looking at data together and sharing the data that was gathered across your coalition. as well as pulling resources together so that you can have someone to analyze the data, synthesize it, and facilitate a conversation among partners. Someone like me. Additionally, you want a combination of community level indicators and indicators that you all as a coalition are aiming to change. So these might be more like outcomes, initiative indicators that help you know whether or not what you're actually doing is leading to some sort of change. The next component of collective impact is mutually reinforcing activities. Here, basically, a diverse set of collaborators come together to talk about the activities you all are planning to do to address an issue. The purpose is to coordinate your efforts. In a lot of coalitions that I've been a part of, there is usually the overarching coalition, and then there are subcommittees or community action teams. So you need to coordinate within the coalition and across the community action teams and make sure that you are all working towards the same goals and that you can all support the work each other are doing. So the purpose is to make sure that, for the most part, people know what's happening across the community action teams and that other community action teams can jump in and support when there is something that needs to be done. For example, in the Bright Beginnings Coalition, we have a maternal mental health task force. And this task force does a lot of beautiful things, and some of them include putting out events for community members to participate in. So the people in the Bright Beginnings Coalition that engage with community organizers should know about these events so that they can encourage their community organizers to tell community members and even the community organizers themselves so that they can participate in these events as well. Other situations where this might work, it might be going after funds together. So for example, you want to make sure that one community action team and another community action team are not fighting over the same funds that a funder might put out. Instead, you want to figure out a way where they can collaborate together to make a stronger proposal so that they can be more likely to earn the funds and ultimately make a change in the community. Mutually reinforcing activities, it's about making sure that you're all in the know for the most part of what's going on. It's a hard task to do, but that not only are you in the know, but that you're doing things that support each other as opposed to might harm your partners in the work they're doing. It's about collaborating effectively. The next component is one that I've been alluding to across the board. It's continuous communication. This is about making sure that in the coalition, partners and individuals know about what other things are happening within the coalition. It's also about sharing lessons learned so that we can learn from the mistakes others have done and ultimately improve and adapt in a positive way so that we can ultimately tackle the complex issue that we're trying to tackle. The aim here is to build on trust and relationships so that partners can come together and work on things that might not be possible otherwise. What does this often look like? So usually what I've seen is a coalition might be made up of an enormous amount of partners. They might meet on a regular basis. For example, maybe the cadence is to meet quarterly. And then you might have community action teams or subcommittees that focus on one specific strategy. Those might meet monthly. And you also have a team of people in the background supporting the communication and connecting different groups of people together. And that's where the final component of collective impact initiatives comes in. It's a backbone. A backbone support organization is basically a team of people whose sole role is to make sure that the coalition is functioning well, that these other 4 components are implemented. They help facilitate coordination between partners, organizations, and institutions. And like I said, they help establish and maintain the other 4 components. They might guide the vision, help implement the shared measurement system or guide it. They help make sure that communication is happening across and within teams. They help make sure that the activities that are being done are coordinated and fit well together and ultimately will work towards addressing the universal goal. And they also help make sure that partners are communicating with each other. Ultimately, the backbone team helps put all the pieces together. I've worked with a lot of collective impact initiatives, and I think it's one of the best ways to tackle a complex problem. However, there are pitfalls like any other framework, and in the next video, I am going to talk about what the greatest pitfall is according to some collective impact experts.